This book will guide you in uncovering your hidden strengths and unlocking your true potential, helping you live a life aligned with your passions and purpose. You'll learn how to break free from limiting beliefs, step into a state of flow, and harness the power of confidence, all while overcoming the fears that hold you back. Through self-reflection and actionable insights, you will cultivate resilience, embrace failure as part of your growth, and awaken the authentic version of yourself that's ready to thrive. Ideal for anyone seeking personal transformation and self-mastery, this journey empowers you to take control of your life, achieve your deepest goals, and experience greater fulfillment in every aspect of your existence. The True You: How to Know What You're Really Good At. Published by Mindfulness. Chapter 1: The Hidden You. There's a part of you that has always known. Beneath the layers of external expectations, the roles you play, the masks you wear, and the person you've been told you should be, there exists a hidden version of yourself, a version so powerful, so full of untapped potential, that it often scares you to acknowledge its presence. But this isn't the self that you show to the world. No, this version of you often remains tucked away, tucked behind the facades you've carefully built, and buried under the noise of daily life. What if, just for a moment, you allowed yourself to listen to that quiet voice inside that's been trying to get your attention for so long? What if, instead of dismissing it as a fleeting thought or a daydream, you leaned in? What might you find if you dug deeper and explored the aspects of yourself that you've been taught to ignore? Many people spend their entire lives operating on autopilot, fulfilling expectations that were placed upon them before they even had a say. They take paths that are well-trodden, choosing the safe option, the familiar option, the option that others have already deemed acceptable. And why wouldn't they? We're conditioned to believe that safety lies in certainty, in following the script. Yet, deep down, there's an inkling, an unrest that gnaws at you when everything goes quiet. In those still moments, when the distractions fade, you can feel it. It's a feeling that suggests you are more than the sum of your accomplishments or the persona you present to the world. This version of you, the true you, is like an artist who hasn't yet picked up the brush, or a musician who has never touched an instrument. And the irony is, the masterpiece already exists, it's simply waiting for you to unlock it. Consider for a moment what it means to live in the realm of your true potential. To step outside of the shadow of who you've been told to be and instead embrace the version of yourself that has always been there, lying dormant. It's not an easy thing to do, of course. Stepping into your full power requires dismantling the comfortable walls you've built, the walls that have shielded you from vulnerability, from judgment, and from failure. These walls, while protective, also keep you imprisoned. They prevent you from venturing beyond the known and stepping into the unknown terrain where your real talents, your real strengths, are waiting to be discovered. What lies beyond these walls is a vast landscape of possibility, and at the center of it is you, the real you, waiting for your own recognition. But how do you reach this place? How do you begin to unlock the potential that feels so elusive, so distant, even when you sense it in the depths of your being? The first step is recognizing that the version of you that you present to the world may not be the full picture. In fact, it might only be a small fragment of who you truly are. Imagine your life as a vast, intricate puzzle, but up until this point, you've only been playing with a handful of the pieces. The remaining pieces, the ones that hold the key to your highest potential, have been scattered, perhaps hidden under years of conditioning and societal expectations. To unlock what you're really good at, you have to gather those pieces, even the ones that seem to belong to a different puzzle altogether. You have to accept that the picture you've been creating isn't the final one, it's a starting point, a rough draft, an early sketch. Yet, here's the catch: recognizing this discrepancy between who you are and who you could be isn't enough. Awareness is only the first step, and while it can be a profound realization, it's often followed by a period of discomfort. Because once you recognize that you haven't been living as your fullest self, you're faced with a choice. You can either continue on the path of least resistance, pretending not to see the potential within you, or you can choose to confront it head-on. Confronting it, however, requires courage to step away from the familiar and move toward the unknown, toward the version of yourself that isn't fully defined yet. This requires letting go of certainty and embracing a sense of curiosity about who you might become when you start paying attention to what you're truly capable of. It's important to understand that the process of uncovering your hidden strengths doesn't happen all at once. It's not a switch you flip or a door you open. It's more like peeling back layers, each one revealing more of what has been there all along. Some layers might be easy to shed, while others might feel impossible to remove. The layers consist of all the things you've picked up along the way: expectations, limiting beliefs, fears, and self-doubts. These layers can be thick and stubborn, but they are not permanent. Each time you confront one, each time you peel it back, you reveal a little more of your true self. And in doing so, you move closer to unlocking the skills, talents, and strengths that have always been within you, waiting to emerge. This process isn't about becoming something new or different. It's about uncovering what's already there, waiting to be seen. It's about reclaiming the parts of yourself that have been overshadowed by the noise of external opinions and societal pressure. And the most beautiful part of this journey is that you don't need to go searching for something outside of yourself to complete the puzzle. Everything you need is already within you, even if it's been hidden from view. The real you, the version of yourself that's capable of extraordinary things, has always been there, quietly waiting for you to notice. So, what's the first step toward unlocking what you're truly good at? It begins with a simple yet profound question: who are you when no one is watching? When you strip away the roles you play for others, the expectations that weigh you down, and the fears that keep you small, what's left? Who remains when you are alone with your thoughts, your desires, and your dreams? That version of you, the one that surfaces in your quietest moments, is the key to unlocking your true potential. It's the version of you that doesn't need approval or validation because it knows, deep down, what it's capable of. And the more you tune into that voice, the louder it will become, guiding you toward the path you were always meant to walk. At first, this voice might be faint, easily drowned out by the chaos of life. But as you begin to listen more intently, you'll find that it has a wisdom all its own. It's not the voice of fear or doubt. It's not the voice of hesitation or insecurity. It's the voice of knowing. And once you start trusting that voice, you'll begin to see the signs that point you toward your hidden strengths. You'll notice the moments when you feel most alive, most engaged, most aligned with who you truly are. These moments are not accidents. They are the breadcrumbs that lead you toward your highest potential, and the more you follow them, the clearer the path will become. Chapter 2: Breaking Free from Limiting Beliefs. Have you ever stopped to think about the beliefs you carry with you? Not the ones you openly discuss with others, but the quiet, pervasive ones that sit in the back of your mind, influencing your every decision, shaping how you see the world and, more importantly, how you see yourself. These beliefs are not always loud. They don't announce themselves in a way that grabs your attention. Instead, they work subtly, behind the scenes, crafting an invisible framework within which you live your life. And perhaps the most dangerous of these are the ones that limit you, the ones that convince you that you are less than what you really are, that your potential is capped, that the dreams you dare to hold are out of reach. These are your limiting beliefs, and they have a far greater hold on you than you may realize. From a young age, we are conditioned to believe certain things about ourselves. Maybe it's the casual comment from a parent, teacher, or peer that lingers in our minds, slowly morphing into a core belief about what we can or cannot do. Maybe it's the societal messages that bombard us daily, telling us what success looks like, what failure means, and who is allowed to dream big. And we internalize these messages, often without even questioning them, letting them become part of our mental landscape. Over time, these beliefs start to form the invisible bars of a prison we don't even realize we're in. They tell us we're not good enough, smart enough, talented enough. They whisper that certain dreams are for other people, not for us. And so, we shrink ourselves to fit within the confines of these beliefs, never questioning their validity, never pushing against the boundaries they impose. But what if these beliefs weren't true? What if they were nothing more than stories we've been telling ourselves, stories that have no real basis in reality? The mind is incredibly powerful, and it can convince us of almost anything if we repeat it often enough. Just as we can convince ourselves that we're incapable of greatness, we can also convince ourselves that we are capable of more than we ever imagined. But first, we must recognize that the beliefs we hold about ourselves are just that, beliefs. They are not facts. They are not set in stone. They are fluid, malleable, and entirely within our power to change. Consider for a moment a belief you hold about yourself that has been limiting you. Maybe it's something you've never spoken out loud, but it's there, shaping the choices you make. Perhaps you believe you're not creative enough to pursue a particular passion, or maybe you've convinced yourself that you don't have the discipline to succeed in the way others do. Whatever it is, bring it to the surface. Look at it. Examine it. Where did it come from? Was it something someone told you once, something that stuck with you? Or was it a conclusion you reached after a failure or setback? More often than not, these beliefs have their roots in experiences from the past, moments where we felt inadequate, moments where we fell short. But just because something happened in the past doesn't mean it has to define your future. The past is only as powerful as the meaning you give it. Breaking free from limiting beliefs is not an easy task. It requires you to challenge the very foundation of how you've been operating in the world. It requires you to question not only the beliefs themselves, but the emotions and fears that come with them. Fear is often the guard that stands watch over your limiting beliefs, keeping them in place. It tells you that if you step outside of the safe, familiar boundaries of these beliefs, you will be met with failure, with disappointment, with rejection. And so, you stay where you are, confined by the limits you've accepted as true, never daring to push beyond them. But what if you did? What if, instead of fearing the discomfort that comes with growth, you embraced it? What if you saw fear not as a stop sign, but as a signal that you're on the verge of something transformative? Fear, after all, is a natural part of the human experience. It's there to protect us, to keep us safe from harm. But in the realm of personal growth, fear can often become a barrier to the very thing we seek. When you feel fear rising in you, it's important to recognize it for what it is, a natural response to stepping outside of your comfort zone. And it's in those moments, when fear feels most present, that you have the opportunity to grow the most. Because the thing about limiting beliefs is that they only have power over you as long as you allow them to. Once you start questioning them, once you start challenging their validity, their grip on you begins to weaken. You start to see that these beliefs are not immutable truths, but rather stories that you've been carrying with you. And like any story, they can be rewritten. Imagine, for a moment, what it would be like to live without these limiting beliefs. What would you do differently if you truly believed that anything was possible for you? How would you approach your goals, your dreams, your life, if you knew that failure was not something to be feared, but something to be embraced as part of the journey? The truth is, most of the limits we place on ourselves are self-imposed. They are not real. They are constructs of the mind, created to keep us safe, but in doing so, they also keep us small. To break free from these limits, you must be willing to step into the unknown, to embrace uncertainty, and to trust that you are capable of more than you've been led to believe. One of the most powerful ways to begin dismantling limiting beliefs is through action. It's one thing to intellectually understand that your beliefs are holding you back, but it's another thing entirely to challenge them through real-world experience. Start small. Identify a belief that has been limiting you, and then take one small step to challenge it. If you believe that you're not good enough to pursue a particular goal, take a small action toward that goal anyway. If you believe that you don't have what it takes to succeed in a certain area, do something that moves you in that direction, even if it's just a tiny step. Each time you take action in the face of a limiting belief, you weaken its hold on you. You begin to prove to yourself that these beliefs are not the ultimate truth, that you are capable of more than you've given yourself credit for. As you begin to break free from your limiting beliefs, you'll start to notice a shift. You'll begin to see possibilities where there were once only barriers. You'll start to feel a sense of liberation, a sense of expansion, as the boundaries you once thought were fixed start to dissolve. This process is not about becoming someone new. It's about becoming more of who you really are. It's about shedding the layers of doubt and fear that have been covering up your true potential. And as you do this, you'll start to unlock what you're really good at. You'll start to see that the skills, the talents, the abilities that have always been within you are now ready to come to the surface, ready to be used in ways you never imagined possible. Chapter 3: The Power of Alignment. Imagine, for a moment, that your life is like a river. It has its twists and turns, its calm stretches and turbulent rapids. At times, the water flows smoothly, effortlessly, carrying you along without resistance. Other times, you find yourself fighting the current, struggling to stay afloat, uncertain of where you are headed. This river, your life, is a metaphor for something much deeper: alignment. Alignment is the state in which your actions, thoughts, and desires all flow in harmony with your true self, creating a sense of ease and purpose. When you are in alignment, everything seems to fall into place. Obstacles become opportunities, challenges become stepping stones, and life unfolds with a sense of synchronicity that feels almost magical. But when you are out of alignment, life can feel like an uphill battle, where every step forward is met with resistance and frustration. It's easy to overlook alignment in a world that constantly pushes you toward achievement, productivity, and success as defined by external standards. From a young age, we are taught to set goals, to strive for certain outcomes, and to measure our worth by our accomplishments. Yet, in the pursuit of these goals, how often do we stop to ask ourselves whether the path we are on is truly ours? Are we pursuing these goals because they are a reflection of our deepest desires, or because we have been conditioned to believe that they are the benchmarks of success? This is the question at the heart of alignment. Are you living in a way that is true to who you are, or are you chasing an idea of success that belongs to someone else? When you are out of alignment, it can manifest in subtle ways. You might feel a vague sense of dissatisfaction, even when everything in your life seems to be going well on the surface. You might achieve a goal you've worked hard for, only to realize that it doesn't bring the fulfillment you expected. Or, you might find yourself constantly exhausted, drained by the effort it takes to maintain a lifestyle that doesn't truly resonate with you. These are signs that you are out of sync with your true self, that the current of your life is pulling you in one direction, while your inner compass is pointing you toward another. The process of realignment begins with awareness. It requires you to pause, to step back from the busyness of life, and to listen to that inner voice that has been drowned out by the noise of external expectations. This voice may be quiet at first, but if you give it space, it will grow louder, guiding you back toward your true path. Realignment is not about abandoning all of your responsibilities or throwing caution to the wind. It's about making subtle shifts in your thoughts, actions, and choices that bring you closer to your authentic self. These shifts don't have to be dramatic. Often, it's the small, consistent adjustments that lead to the greatest transformations. But what does it mean to be in alignment, and how do you know when you've found it? Alignment feels like flow, those moments when everything clicks into place, when time seems to disappear, and you are fully immersed in whatever you are doing. It's the sense of deep satisfaction that comes from knowing that you are living in accordance with your values, your passions, and your purpose. In alignment, there is a sense of ease, not because life becomes easy, but because you are no longer fighting against yourself. You are no longer trying to fit into a mold that doesn't suit you or chasing goals that aren't truly yours. However, alignment doesn't mean that life will be free from challenges. On the contrary, even in alignment, you will face difficulties and obstacles. The difference is that when you are aligned with your true self, these challenges take on a different meaning. Instead of feeling like roadblocks, they become opportunities for growth, for deepening your understanding of yourself and your path. You begin to see that every misstep, every failure, is simply a course correction, nudging you back toward the path that is meant for you. Think back to a time in your life when you felt completely in sync with yourself, when your actions flowed naturally, and you didn't have to force or struggle to make things happen. Maybe it was during a creative project, a moment of deep connection with someone, or an experience that left you feeling fully alive and present. These moments are glimpses of alignment, clues to what it feels like to live in harmony with your true self. The more you pay attention to these moments, the more you can cultivate them in your everyday life. Realignment also requires you to let go of what no longer serves you. This can be one of the most difficult parts of the process because it often means releasing the goals, relationships, or habits that you've held onto for a long time, even if they no longer bring you joy or fulfillment. It can feel scary to let go of something that once defined you, but holding on to what no longer aligns with who you are now only keeps you stuck in a state of resistance. Letting go is not an act of failure, it's an act of self-honoring. It's recognizing that you have evolved, and that in order to grow into the fullest expression of yourself, you must release what is no longer in alignment with your highest potential. The journey toward alignment is ongoing. It's not a destination that you reach and then forget about. Instead, it's a continual process of checking in with yourself, of reassessing your values, your desires, and your goals. Life is always changing, and so are you. What felt aligned at one point in your life may no longer resonate, and that's okay. The key is to remain open, flexible, and willing to adjust course when necessary. This is not a sign of weakness or indecision, it's a sign of growth, of living in harmony with the dynamic nature of life. As you begin to realign with your true self, you'll find that the resistance you once felt starts to ease. The struggles that seemed insurmountable begin to dissolve, not because the challenges themselves have disappeared, but because you are no longer fighting against your own nature. You are no longer trying to be someone you're not. Instead, you are living in accordance with who you truly are, and this brings a sense of peace, even in the face of uncertainty. Alignment allows you to trust yourself, to trust the process, and to trust that you are exactly where you need to be, even if the path ahead is not entirely clear. In alignment, you stop seeking external validation for your worth or success. You stop comparing yourself to others or trying to fit into someone else's definition of what it means to live a good life. Instead, you create your own definition, based on your values, your passions, and your purpose. This doesn't mean that you stop striving for excellence or achievement. It simply means that your motivation comes from a deeper, more authentic place. When you are aligned, your actions are fueled by inspiration rather than obligation. You are driven by a sense of purpose rather than a need for approval. And in this state, you are able to tap into a reservoir of energy, creativity, and resilience that was always there, just waiting for you to unlock it. Chapter 4: Flow and Mastery. Have you ever experienced a moment when time seemed to disappear? Perhaps you were working on something, deeply focused, and suddenly you realized that hours had passed without you even noticing. That experience, that profound sense of immersion where everything else fades away and you are completely absorbed in the task at hand, is known as flow. Flow is not just a state of heightened focus, it's a powerful indicator that you are tapping into something deeper within yourself, a unique blend of skill, passion, and purpose. It's a signal that, in that moment, you are aligned with what you are truly good at, that you are living in harmony with your innate abilities and talents. Flow doesn't happen by accident. It's not a rare occurrence reserved for a lucky few. In fact, everyone has the capacity to experience flow, but the key is recognizing when and where it happens in your life, and then consciously cultivating more of those experiences. The moments when you lose yourself in your work, when everything feels effortless and natural, are clues to where your strengths lie. These are the activities where your talents come alive, where your energy is not drained but replenished, where you feel a sense of mastery that pushes you to new levels of performance. Flow is the space where your potential meets your passion, and it's here that you begin to unlock what you are truly capable of. But how do you consistently access this state of flow? How do you create the conditions for it to appear more frequently in your life? It begins with understanding that flow is not something you force. You can't will yourself into a state of flow by sheer effort or determination. Instead, flow emerges naturally when certain elements are in place: a clear goal, a challenge that stretches your abilities but doesn't overwhelm you, and a deep connection to the task at hand. It's when you are fully engaged in something that matters to you, something that not only demands your attention but also invites you to bring your best self to the table. Flow occurs when you are doing something that feels both challenging and rewarding, where you are pushed to grow but are also deeply connected to the process itself. One of the biggest misconceptions about flow is that it only happens in creative or athletic pursuits. While it's true that artists, musicians, and athletes often talk about entering flow states during their work, the truth is that flow can be experienced in any domain. It can happen when you are solving a complex problem, engaging in deep conversation, or even performing a repetitive task that requires focus and precision. The key is not the type of activity, but rather the quality of your engagement with it. When you are fully present, when you are deeply absorbed in what you are doing, flow becomes possible, no matter the context. The experience of flow is not just about feeling good in the moment. It has profound implications for personal growth and mastery. When you are in flow, you are operating at the edge of your abilities, stretching yourself beyond what you previously thought possible. This is where growth happens, when you are pushing past your comfort zone, but not so far that you become overwhelmed. It's a delicate balance, but when you find it, you begin to unlock new levels of skill and performance. Each time you enter flow, you are refining your abilities, honing your strengths, and moving closer to mastery. And mastery, in this context, is not about being perfect or achieving some final goal. It's about the ongoing process of becoming better, of continuously improving and evolving in the areas that matter most to you. Flow also teaches you something important about your strengths: they are not fixed or static. Your talents and abilities are not set in stone, they can be developed, nurtured, and expanded over time. The more you engage in activities that put you in a state of flow, the more you strengthen your natural abilities. Flow acts as a feedback loop, reinforcing the areas where you already excel while also revealing new areas of potential. It's through repeated experiences of flow that you begin to see patterns that point to the things you are truly good at, the things that come naturally to you but also challenge and excite you. These are the areas where your true strengths lie, and the more you focus on them, the more you unlock your potential. However, flow is not just about skill or talent. It's also deeply connected to purpose. When you are engaged in something that feels meaningful, something that resonates with your values and your sense of who you are, flow becomes even more powerful. It's not just about doing something well, it's about doing something that matters. Purpose infuses your actions with energy and motivation, making the experience of flow even more profound. When you are aligned with your purpose, flow becomes a natural byproduct of your engagement with life. You are no longer just going through the motions or checking off tasks on a to-do list. You are fully immersed in the process of living in alignment with who you are and what you are meant to do. But flow is not always easy to achieve. In today's fast-paced, distraction-filled world, it can be challenging to find the time and space to fully engage in activities that bring you into flow. It requires a certain level of focus and commitment, a willingness to shut out distractions and immerse yourself in the task at hand. This is why flow often feels elusive in modern life, because we are constantly pulled in multiple directions, multitasking, and rarely giving our full attention to any one thing. To access flow more consistently, you need to create the conditions for it to emerge. This might mean setting aside dedicated time for deep work, eliminating distractions, or choosing activities that truly challenge and engage you. Flow also requires a mindset of openness and curiosity. It's easy to fall into the trap of doing things the way you've always done them, sticking to familiar routines and habits. But flow thrives in the space of exploration, in the willingness to try new things, to experiment, and to push beyond the boundaries of what you already know. When you approach life with a sense of curiosity, when you are open to new experiences and willing to take risks, flow becomes more accessible. It's in those moments of uncertainty and challenge that you have the greatest opportunity to tap into your potential and discover new strengths you didn't even know you had. Finally, flow teaches you the importance of presence. In a world that often values speed and efficiency, flow reminds you that the most meaningful experiences happen when you are fully present. It's not about rushing to the finish line or checking off boxes, it's about being immersed in the process, savoring each moment, and giving your full attention to what you are doing. Presence is the gateway to flow, and flow is the gateway to unlocking your true potential. When you are present, when you are fully engaged in the task at hand, you are not only accessing your strengths, but also expanding them. You are becoming more of who you truly are, more of what you are capable of becoming. And in that space, in the state of flow, you are tapping into the very essence of your true self. Chapter 5: The Role of Fear and Failure. Fear is a powerful force. It has the ability to paralyze us, to keep us rooted in place, afraid to move forward or backward. It whispers to us in moments of doubt, telling us that we aren't good enough, that we aren't ready, that failure is imminent. Fear, in many ways, is like a shadow that follows us through life, growing larger the closer we get to the things that truly matter to us. It's the voice in your head that tells you not to take that risk, not to put yourself out there, not to venture into the unknown. But what if, instead of seeing fear as something to avoid, you began to see it as a guide? What if fear wasn't an obstacle, but rather a clue, pointing you in the direction of your greatest potential? It's a strange thought at first, to think of fear as something that could be helpful, something that could actually lead you to where you need to go. After all, fear feels uncomfortable. It feels like something that needs to be fixed or managed, something that holds us back from living the life we want. But if you take a closer look, you'll notice something interesting. Fear often shows up when you're on the verge of something important. It appears when you're standing at the edge of growth, when you're about to step into a new version of yourself, when you're approaching the realization of your potential. Fear doesn't arise when you're staying small or playing it safe, it arises when you're on the brink of something that could change you. There's a profound connection between fear and failure, and it's one that many people misunderstand. Failure is often seen as the ultimate consequence of stepping outside your comfort zone, the thing that fear tries to protect you from. But what if failure wasn't the end of the story? What if failure was simply part of the process, a necessary step on the path to discovering what you're truly capable of? The truth is, failure is not something to be feared, it's something to be embraced. It's through failure that we learn, that we grow, that we refine our strengths and develop new ones. Failure is not a sign that you aren't good enough, it's a sign that you are pushing yourself beyond your current limits, and that is where real growth happens. Think about it, every great achievement in history has been preceded by failure. Every invention, every breakthrough, every moment of brilliance has been built on a foundation of trial and error. Failure is not a reflection of your worth or your potential, it's simply feedback. It's the universe's way of showing you what doesn't work so that you can move closer to what does. The more you fail, the more information you gather, and the better equipped you become to succeed. But none of this is possible if you let fear stop you before you even begin. Fear tells you that failure is something to avoid, but in reality, failure is a necessary companion on the journey to greatness. The relationship between fear and failure becomes even clearer when you start to look at fear as a signpost. Fear shows up when you are about to do something that matters, something that has the potential to expand you in ways you've never imagined. It's in those moments, when fear is at its loudest, that you are being invited to step into a new version of yourself. This is not to say that fear is always rational. Fear often exaggerates the risks, making you believe that the worst-case scenario is far more likely than it actually is. But if you learn to listen to fear without letting it control you, you can use it as a tool for growth. The trick is to move toward fear, not away from it. When you feel fear rising in you, it's a signal that you are standing at the threshold of something important. Instead of retreating, lean in. Ask yourself what it is that you are truly afraid of. Are you afraid of failure? Of being judged? Of not living up to your own expectations? Whatever it is, bring it into the light. Once you've named your fear, you take away some of its power. You begin to see it for what it is, an emotion, not a reality. Fear is only as powerful as the meaning you give it. When you acknowledge fear without letting it dictate your actions, you begin to reclaim your power. But fear alone isn't the only challenge. There is also the fear of failure itself, which can be even more paralyzing. The idea of failing, of putting yourself out there and not succeeding, can be terrifying. But the truth is, failure is not the enemy. It's simply part of the process. Everyone who has ever achieved something significant has failed along the way. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not the absence of failure, but how they respond to it. Successful people don't let failure stop them. They don't internalize it or use it as a reason to give up. Instead, they learn from it. They adapt. They try again, armed with the knowledge they gained from their previous attempts. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is the permission to fail. When you take the pressure off yourself to be perfect, you free up a tremendous amount of energy. Suddenly, the fear of failure loses its grip on you. You realize that failure is not the end of the world, but rather a stepping stone to something greater. The more you fail, the closer you get to success. Each failure brings you one step closer to figuring out what works, to honing your skills, to unlocking what you are truly good at. But this only happens when you allow yourself to fail, when you stop letting fear dictate your actions and start seeing failure as part of the process. This shift in perspective is transformative. When you stop seeing fear and failure as threats and start seeing them as allies, your entire approach to life changes. You become more willing to take risks, to try new things, to push yourself beyond your comfort zone. You stop playing it safe and start living more boldly, more authentically. You begin to realize that the things you are most afraid of are often the things that have the greatest potential to transform you. And with each step you take toward your fear, you grow stronger, more resilient, more capable. You start to trust yourself more, knowing that no matter what happens, you can handle it. You can face failure, learn from it, and come back even stronger. Fear and failure are not the enemies they appear to be. They are, in fact, the gateways to your greatest potential. They show up when you are on the verge of something important, when you are about to step into a new version of yourself. The more you lean into them, the more you will discover about what you are truly capable of. Fear may never go away completely, and failure may always be a possibility, but they no longer have to hold you back. Instead, they can become the very things that propel you forward, that push you to grow, to evolve, and to unlock the full extent of your potential. Chapter 6: cultivating inner confidence. Confidence is often misunderstood. When people think of confidence, they tend to imagine someone who is bold, self-assured, someone who strides through life with certainty and ease, seemingly untouched by doubt or hesitation. But real confidence, the kind that matters, is much deeper than that surface-level bravado. It's not about never feeling fear or doubt, it's about moving forward in spite of them. True confidence is quieter. It's the steady, unshakable belief in your own ability to figure things out, to adapt, to grow, and to learn, even in the face of uncertainty. It's the trust you place in yourself, not because you know everything, but because you are willing to take the step, even when the path ahead is unclear. The irony is that confidence is often born from uncertainty. It's not something you arrive at fully formed, it's something you build over time. And the process of building confidence is rarely linear. It's filled with setbacks, moments of doubt, and sometimes failure. But it's precisely through these challenges that true confidence begins to take root. Each time you face a situation that stretches you beyond your comfort zone and you navigate through it, whether you succeed or stumble, you're strengthening your belief in your own resilience. You're proving to yourself that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way, not because you have all the answers, but because you trust in your ability to find them when needed. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that confidence is something you either have or you don't, as if it's a fixed trait that some people are born with and others aren't. But the truth is, confidence is more like a muscle. It grows through use. The more you challenge yourself, the more you put yourself in situations where you're not entirely sure of the outcome, the stronger your confidence becomes. And like any muscle, it requires practice, effort, and sometimes a willingness to face discomfort. The more you step into the unknown and allow yourself to be vulnerable, the more you develop that deep inner trust that you can handle whatever comes next. But here's the thing, confidence doesn't mean you won't ever feel fear or doubt again. In fact, those emotions will likely always be there, especially when you're on the brink of something new, something that matters. But confidence allows you to move forward anyway. It's not about waiting for the fear to disappear before you take action, it's about taking action while the fear is still present. It's about understanding that fear is a natural part of growth, but it doesn't have to control your decisions. Real confidence isn't about having no fear, it's about having the courage to act in spite of it. The foundation of confidence is self-acceptance. It's the ability to recognize and embrace all parts of yourself, not just the polished, successful parts, but also the messy, imperfect parts. So often, people tie their confidence to their achievements, their ability to meet certain standards or to gain approval from others. But this kind of external validation is fleeting. It creates a fragile sense of confidence that crumbles the moment something goes wrong or the moment someone disapproves. True confidence, however, comes from within. It's rooted in the understanding that you are worthy and capable, not because of what you accomplish, but because of who you are. When you accept yourself fully, flaws, mistakes, and all, you free yourself from the need to constantly prove your worth. And it's in that space of self-acceptance that real confidence can flourish. Think about it for a moment, how many times have you held yourself back because you were afraid you weren't good enough? How many opportunities have you passed up because you doubted your ability to succeed? We've all been there. The fear of not measuring up, of falling short, can be paralyzing. But here's the thing, confidence doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from embracing imperfection, from recognizing that you don't have to have it all figured out to take the next step. Confidence comes from the willingness to show up as you are, to give your best effort, and to trust that even if things don't go as planned, you will still be okay. You will still learn, grow, and become stronger in the process. Building confidence requires a shift in mindset. It means moving away from the idea that you need to be perfect to be confident, and instead, embracing the belief that you are enough as you are, even in your imperfection. It means trusting that you have everything you need within you to face whatever challenges come your way. And this kind of confidence doesn't just appear overnight. It's built slowly, through small acts of courage, through the willingness to take risks, and through the recognition that even in failure, there is growth. Each time you step into a situation that challenges you, each time you push yourself to try something new, you are building the foundation of lasting confidence. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate confidence is through action. Confidence is not something that you wait for, it's something you create through doing. The more you take action, even when you're unsure of the outcome, the more you prove to yourself that you are capable. Action builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. It's a cycle. The more you act, the more confident you become, and the more confident you become, the more willing you are to take further action. But it all begins with that first step, the willingness to move forward, even when you're uncertain, even when you're afraid. Another critical element of confidence is resilience. Confidence is not about never facing setbacks, it's about how you respond to them. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, you have the inner strength to pick yourself up, learn from the experience, and keep moving forward. Resilience is the foundation of lasting confidence because it teaches you that failure is not something to be feared, it's something to be embraced. Each setback, each challenge, is an opportunity to grow stronger, to deepen your belief in your own ability to overcome obstacles. When you build resilience, you build an unshakable confidence that isn't dependent on external circumstances. It's the kind of confidence that allows you to move through life with a sense of peace, knowing that no matter what happens, you have the inner resources to handle it. Confidence, then, is not a destination but a journey. It's something you build over time, through practice, through action, through the willingness to step outside your comfort zone and embrace the unknown. It's something that grows as you learn to trust yourself more deeply, to accept yourself more fully, and to recognize that you are capable of far more than you ever imagined. Confidence is not about being perfect, it's about being willing to show up, to take risks, and to keep moving forward, no matter what. And the more you do this, the more you will discover that the real source of confidence is not external validation or success, but the deep inner knowing that you are enough, just as you are. Chapter 7: Awakening to Your True Self. There is a version of you that exists beyond what you can see right now. A version that is waiting to be discovered, nurtured, and brought to life. This version of yourself isn't a distant dream or a figment of your imagination, it's a very real part of you, hidden beneath the layers of conditioning, fear, and doubt that have accumulated over time. It's easy to get lost in the noise of everyday life, to lose sight of who you really are in the rush to meet expectations, to fit into roles, to live up to standards that may not even be your own. But underneath all of that, there is a deeper truth about you, one that has been there all along, even when you couldn't see it clearly. Think back to the times in your life when you felt the most alive, the most connected to yourself. Maybe it was during a creative project, a conversation that sparked something inside of you, or a moment of quiet reflection when everything seemed to make sense, even if only for a brief moment. These are the moments when the true you, the one who is unburdened by external pressures and limitations, starts to come to the surface. It's in these moments that you catch glimpses of your potential, of what you're truly capable of when you let go of the fear and doubt that hold you back. But these moments aren't random. They are clues, hints from your inner self, pointing you in the direction of your greatest strengths and abilities. The more you pay attention to these moments, the more you begin to understand that they aren't isolated incidents, they are signposts on your journey to becoming who you are meant to be. These moments of clarity, of alignment, are there to remind you that there is so much more within you than you may realize. They are there to show you that when you operate from a place of authenticity, when you tap into your unique gifts, life flows differently. It's not that challenges disappear, but you face them from a place of strength, of confidence, of inner knowing that you can handle whatever comes your way. Yet, stepping into this version of yourself isn't always easy. It requires shedding old beliefs, letting go of the stories you've been telling yourself about what's possible, and embracing the unknown. The unknown can be terrifying because it's uncharted territory. It's the space where you have to trust yourself fully, even when the path ahead isn't clear. But this is where the magic happens, when you are willing to step into the unknown, trusting that you have everything you need within you to navigate it. The unknown is where growth happens, where you stretch beyond the limits you've set for yourself, and where you discover just how capable you truly are. To become this true version of yourself, you must be willing to question the narratives that have shaped your life up until now. You must be willing to ask yourself the hard questions. What beliefs have I been carrying that no longer serve me? What fears are holding me back from stepping into my full potential? What would I do differently if I truly believed in myself? These questions are uncomfortable, and they may bring up emotions or realizations that you've been avoiding. But they are necessary. They are the keys that unlock the door to the next level of your growth, to the next chapter of your life where you are no longer held back by the weight of past limitations. One of the most important realizations you can come to on this journey is that the true you doesn't need to be created, it already exists. It's not something you have to strive for or work to become. It's something you have to uncover, something you have to allow to emerge by removing the layers that have been hiding it. You don't need to become something different or someone else to unlock your potential. You simply need to be more of who you already are. The talents, the strengths, the gifts that are uniquely yours are already inside of you. They've been there all along, waiting for you to recognize them, to acknowledge them, and to bring them to the forefront of your life. This process of uncovering your true self is ongoing. It's not something you do once and then forget about. It's a daily practice of listening to yourself, of tuning into your inner voice, and of making choices that are in alignment with who you really are. It's about letting go of the need for external validation and trusting that your path is valid, even if it doesn't look like anyone else's. It's about giving yourself permission to live authentically, to follow your own intuition, and to pursue the things that light you up, even if they don't fit into the mold that society has created for you. As you continue on this journey, you'll find that the more you align with your true self, the more opportunities will come your way. The things that once felt difficult or out of reach will start to feel more attainable because you are no longer working against yourself. When you are in alignment, when you are operating from a place of authenticity, you become a magnet for the experiences, people, and opportunities that are meant for you. Life begins to unfold in ways that feel more natural, more in flow, because you are no longer trying to force things to happen. You are simply allowing things to unfold as they are meant to, trusting that you are exactly where you need to be. This doesn't mean that there won't be challenges. There will be moments when doubt creeps back in, when fear tries to pull you off course, and when you question whether you are really capable of stepping into this higher version of yourself. But in those moments, you must remember that growth is not a straight line. It's a spiral, and each time you come back to the same challenges, you are approaching them from a higher level of understanding. You are stronger, more resilient, and more capable than you were before, and each setback is simply an opportunity to refine your path, to learn, and to grow even more. Ultimately, unlocking the true you is not about achieving perfection or reaching some final destination. It's about embracing the journey, the ongoing process of becoming. It's about recognizing that you are already whole, already complete, and that everything you need to succeed is already within you. It's about trusting yourself enough to take the next step, even when you don't have all the answers. And as you do, you'll find that the true you, the one who has always been there, waiting, will begin to shine more brightly with each passing day.